Claims of professional sports being rigged are absolutely ludicrous. Look, the obvious, just basic thing of gambling being legal on anything sport related, whether it's draft picks, whether it's draft positioning, whether it's player props, whether it's total, anything you can gamble on kind of completely eliminates the possibility of rigging. And you might say, no, that's why it should be rigged. Here's the issue. If they're rigging sports from the top down, if Roger Goodell and Adam Silver are rigging sports, obviously to make their leagues more profitable, it'd be pretty easy to see who they're rigging it for. The big markets, the big players, etc., etc. The big players are going to get all the calls, the big markets are going to win all the games, and everyone will just gamble on them and get rich. If they're always going to give the draft lottery picks, the most recent rigging was the NFL draft lottery, the most recent sporting event that we've seen. And the Dallas Mavericks, who traded away Luka to the Lakers in a blockbuster trade, ended up getting the first overall pick. Now, a lot of people say there was only a 1.8% chance they got the first overall pick. That's unlikely. So if something's unlikely, it must be rigged. Now, first thing I want to point out is every single team in the draft lottery is unlikely to win. They're all below 15%. So someone has to win. And even if a team wins its 15%, you could still point to that and say, well, it's unlikely, so it shouldn't happen. So the point's kind of ludicrous. And something that's a 2% chance to happen means it's going to happen roughly once every 50 years. Now, even if you don't care about any of that, if you truly do believe it's rigged, which I saw thousands of comments on every single, the Mavericks won the draft lottery, et cetera, and got Cooper Flagg, why didn't you gamble on it? Like, genuinely, if you're watching this and you think I'm an idiot, why didn't you gamble on it? Polymarket gave odds on it. DraftKings gave odds on it. FanDuel gave odds on it. ESPN gave odds on it. If you truly thought that the Mavericks were going to get the number 1 overall pick, why didn't you 50x your money? If you truly thought the Chiefs were going to win all these games, everybody always talks about the Chiefs are going to fall off. The Chiefs keep winning games, and they ended up losing the Super Bowl, but they won all these games in regular season, and everybody just kept saying, well, they're rigging it in the playoffs, they're rigging it. Okay. You don't like the rigging it. How much money have you made off of betting on the Chiefs? Oh, you didn't bet on the Chiefs. Look, you might say you think the sport leagues are rigged, but gambling is legal. So put your money where your mouth's at. If you have the script, if you know what's going on, if you're so smart and you can just see right through these leagues, you just know they're fake, gamble on it. It's that simple. And I hear people talk about this all the time too. They say Vegas made the call. Before every sporting game, at any point, you couldn't even look at the Week 1 NFL odds. You can see which team has more money on it. The Ravens are playing the Bills. You can see which team has more bets on it. If you think that Vegas is going to make the call and make sure the team with less money on them wins, which would make Vegas more money, why don't you bet on the team that Vegas wants to win? If it's that obvious, if Vegas is just going to make the call, why don't you always just go in right before kickoff and bet on the team with less bets? Seems pretty simple. Why don't you bet on the Mavericks to get their first overall pick? Why don't you bet on the Chiefs? Why don't you bet on the big markets? The New York Knicks, they were winning games and getting decent calls, I suppose. Why weren't you betting on them? Now, with that point aside, because I don't really think anyone can get around that, I think that's kind of a slam dunk. If you think these sport leagues are rigged, why are you not making money? That's my first question. And if you are making money, I would zip it. I would zip it. If you think sport leagues are rigged and you're making bank on them, I wouldn't say a word. Now, there are a few additional points which complicate the rigging of these sport leagues. Number one, if there is going to be a top-down script, whether that's 100% script, as in like everything to a T is spelled out, or if that's going to be a minor script, like we need these things to happen during the game, we need the refs to also help influence it. Think about how good these athletes have to be. In boxing, I think you probably could, in a hypothetical sense, I think you could rig it to let someone knock you out. That doesn't take that many steps, to drop your guard, to stand. That doesn't take that many steps, and you can maybe make it look natural. In the NFL, in the NBA, in soccer, think about how good these athletes would have to be for you to write on the script, Justin Herbert, you're going to throw a laser 58 yards on the left sideline, the triple coverage, and the receiver's going to catch it and barely toe drag in. Think about how good they have to be to do that on command. It's already impressive enough that athletes can hit the fadeaway three-pointer over two defense. Like, they can do all these insane things, but the fact that you think that they can do them on command, I mean, it just adds an insane dimension to it. Like, these athletes are gods. If that's the case, that they can score at any point, they can do anything at any point. Saquon Barkley got programmed in to do the reverse hurdle. I mean, if these guys can all do the reverse hurdle, I just wasn't familiar with the game. And then the obvious, well, who's signing up to get their ACL torn? I mean, that doesn't sound fun. I mean, I wouldn't sign up for that script. No one's leaked it. You know, that's another insane thing about this all, is no one has ever leaked the script. No referee has also leaked the we need big markets to win. And speaking of big markets, why are the big markets not dominating? Why aren't they dominating? Why, when we compare small markets to medium markets to large markets, the small and medium markets have more Super Bowl rings and NBA Finals? If we go to New York City, the biggest market, the Jets and Giants both suck. The Nets over the last 10 years have sucked. The Knicks have been pretty mediocre. They did have a good run this past season, but zero championships, zero Super Bowl appearances. The Giants have a playoff win in the last 10 years. The Jets don't have any. The Nets, I don't think, have won a playoff series in the last 10 years. We go to Chicago. The Bears and Bulls have nothing. We go to Miami. The Dolphins and Heat have nothing. I mean, the Heat made it to the finals, but they didn't win it, and there was no dynasty. We go over to the two Texas markets, Dallas and Houston. The Cowboys and Mavericks haven't done it. I mean, the Mavericks lost in the finals. The Texans and I mean, they're not doing anything. The LA teams are the only ones that have any rings. The Rams have a ring, and the Lakers have a ring. But with all those teams, they're below expected. Over the last 10 years, the big markets are not winning. The big markets are winning less than the small markets. It's just unheard of. The Kansas City Chiefs, a small market team, have dominated. The Baltimore Ravens in the NFL, a small market team, have dominated. The Buffalo Bills, a small market team, have dominated. The Cincinnati Bengals, a small market team, have showed promise. I mean, in the NBA, it looks like the Thunder are going to go on a run. Why are the big markets not winning? If they're rigging it for profit. And if you want to make profit, you want the big markets to win and have dynasties. And they're not doing that. The big markets are not dominating. That just isn't happening. So, I mean, honestly, I don't believe people actually think sports are rigged. I think that's something people like to say when their team loses. I think that's something people like to say when the referee misses a call. And that's another thing I'd like to add. Anytime a referee misses a call or a player makes a mistake, I see this on these Instagram and YouTube. Oh, they put mysterious music behind it and say, ooh, this player, he didn't play correctly. It's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. He's not perfect, so he's a human. A referee misses a call. We watch it on slow motion from the overhead angle, we watch it from 8 different angles with no obstruction in slow motion with a rulebook to the side and say, I think the referee missed that one. I mean, that's cool. Are we going to see it? Like, if we're seeing it from the referee's angle and it's right in front of his eyes and he missed it, okay. The Saints and Rams comes to mind. That obvious missed pass interference, that's a missed call. That's a big one. 99% of the missed calls are 50-50 calls that are debated in the comments after the fans have watched a slow motion replay. The referees in live speed are not watching a slow motion replay from those angles. So just because, even if a referee, and obviously they do miss calls because they're human, like literally everyone's missing calls, and athletes are also making mistakes. So when people say, oh, that he fumbled the ball, that's not possible. Why would he fumble? It's like, that's how humans work. But anytime a referee misses a call, it's Vegas made that call. Vegas got on the phone. They were dialing the refs. They told them at halftime. It's like, is it possible they just missed it? Like, is that possible? Is it possible the player just dropped the pass? Are these inconceivable that anyone would make a mistake, especially how fast professional sports